as the leader of the delegation to speak.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, the Minister of Police, the Deputy Minister of Correctional Services, the Inspecting Judge, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, the National Commissioner for Correctional Services, the National Commissioner for the South African Police Service, and all honorable members and members of the media and the public at large. Let me, from the onset, Honorable Chairperson, convey my sincere welcoming of this process by yourselves up to so far since yesterday. Hence, myself and Minister Cele understood its importance, hence we have been sitting here for the past 2 days, because we believe the information here is insightful. It could also help us on our responsibilities. I also want to convey my gratitude to the SAPS, Crime Intelligence, and all the officials of a Correctional Service track and tracing team who helped to bring the fugitives back to South Africa, all the countries in the SADC region, in particular Tanzania, that led to the arrest of the 2 fugitives that have been now brought back to our country. And I must state that the behavior by the Tanzanian authorities has been very exemplary. And it does show that on matters of immigration laws, extradition, mutual legal assistance, while we also have to submit completed papers and documents, you also rely on the political will of the requested country. And I think Tanzania has displayed that magnificently. Where there were issues of clarity, they requested that we send to them the information, and all that information was then used at the end to say the process has been concluded and in terms of the Tanzanian laws. I also want to take this opportunity, Chairperson, to apologize to the victims of the convicted rapist, Mr. Thabo Bester, and to all the people of South Africa, that this dangerous criminal was let loose in the public by the G4S officials. And as DCS, we take full responsibility for this, as we are the custodian of the Correctional Services Act. And we are the people doing so on behalf of the people of South Africa. The people of South Africa don't know G4S as the custodian of these services. So it's us who must take this responsibility. It is the first of its kind, Chairperson, incident that we had to deal with of this nature, uniqueness, and magnitude. But with your indulgence, Chairperson, before I go to the matter itself and before I request the National Commissioner to come in to give the detailed presentation, I just want to give a brief background of the setup of the private-public partnership, relationship between public partnership and the Department of Correctional Services, so that the society understand this matter. During 1997, the Department of Correctional Services entered the processes of looking for bidders to design, construct, finance, and operate prisons. And this was led by the Department of Public Works in collaboration with the Department of Finance. This was aimed at acquiring additional accommodation, bed spaces due to the overcrowding in our facilities, and to learn best practices which will in turn be rolled over to other DCS facilities in ensuring that inmates are treated in human environment while they are being rehabilitated. At the time, 2 modules were considered: the Asset Procurement Operational Partnership Systems, called APOPs, and the Procurement and Operational Partnership Systems, which was called POPs. I will no longer speak about POPs because POPs, there was an award to a company called Gijima, but it was not proceeded with. Only the APOPs was proceeded with. And in APOPs is where we find the Mangaung Correctional Facility and where we also find Kutama Sintumula, which is the second private prison in South Africa. In terms of the written agreement concluded between the Department of Correctional Services and the Bloemfontein contracts now that we're dealing with, on the 24th of March 2000, the concession agreement, Bloemfontein Correctional Contracts Pty Ltd BCC operates the Mangaung Correctional Center as a public-private partnership correctional center under Section 103 and 112 of the Correctional Services Act. The expenditure payment made to date since 2001 to 2021 or 2022 financial year is 7.7 billion rands. The projection until the end of the contract is about 2,052,841,427 rands. So that is what will take us up until the end of the contracts. I heard honorable members were asking how much, what will this cost, and so forth. We are paying an amount of 45 million rands a month for this facility. With regard to the Kutama Sintumule one, the amount that has been spent since inception, it is an amount of 8.9 billion rands of that contract. And the department is paying an amount of about 44 million rands per month. Honorable members were raising an issue whether there was value for money or not, and what is the situation. An assessment was done in 2002 by the National Treasurer. That assessment found that DCS got value for money in terms of infrastructure. And I think that is a point Honorable Horn was referring to. Indeed, there's excellent infrastructure. It cannot be debated. However, the department is experiencing significant affordability constraints in meeting its contractual obligations in relation to the two PPP prisons. But we have a contract, we must honor it. And that is what is happening. What is the prison population in our country? The approved accommodation is 108,804,000. And the inmate population at the last date of checking, 28th of March, was 157,135 sentenced. And that is the whole prison population. Sentence is 100,587. These are sentenced inmate. 56,431. These are remand detainees. 117. These are the state patients, the patients of the president. 0 involuntary mental health care users, as reported on the 28th of March 2023, which translate to an overcrowding level at that date of 44.42%. The total number of inmates detained in private prisons is 5,952, and that being Kutama Sintumule, 3,024 inmates, and 2,928, that is Mangaung. It translates to about 3.7%. The presentation by the National Commissioner will cover the following. As you will have seen, Honorable Chair, that while we are going to take the nation into confidence, and some of the matters will beg your indulgence to exercise restraint on some of the information that we'll believe might jeopardize ongoing police investigations and the court processes. But we will endeavor to provide all the information that we believe the committee must be able to use. The topics that are going to be covered is, firstly, which I've already covered some, an overview of the private-public partnership, the cost incurred, the bed capacity, the number of security incidents at the facility in Mangaung, the number of disputes with operating company to date, and the dispute resolution process A profile of the offender in question